So Elon Musk is absolutely crying today as he faces major fines from the EU. That's some of today's video. Let's check out the headlines together. Trump officials rail against 140 million EU fine on Elon Musk's X. And yes, Elon is a crying. He's got this pinned to the top of his profile. He says, freedom of speech is the bedrock of democracy. The only way to know what you are voting for. So Elon will always try to frame this as being freedom of speech. Let me show you what the European Commission said. You guys can make up your mind for yourself and see if there's anything to do with freedom of speech here. EU Commission, they say, today we find X for non-compliance with transparency obligations under the DSA. So that's like the Digital Service Act. We're holding X accountable for, you got one, deceptive design of its blue checkmark, okay? Two, lack of transparency of its advertising repository. And three, failure to provide access to public data for researchers. It's literally what it says. And there's a whole bunch of issues with this stuff as we'll go through this, but I'll just say it's not necessarily what Elon Musk and all his sycophants say it is, okay? They literally just read what the EU said, and Musk is like, oh, BS. Brendan Carr, he's like, Franklin, the turtle cuts regulations. Now, you remember for these people, because they're all bought off by Elon Musk, and you have a bunch of sycophants that basically want to move up on Elon Musk's algorithm, so they all kiss his butt. This is what this all game is. Like, all these people are dishonest, be frank with you guys. And the reason why they want to cut regulations, and so then Elon Musk and all the tech bros can rule everything. Like, who needs protections? Who needs safety? Just let, robots run wild on the platform. Because you guys know this, Musk's X is a lot of bots on that thing. Brendan Carr says, once again, Europe is fining a successful U.S. tech company for being a successful U.S. tech company. Is that what the EU said? That's why I literally read what the EU said. Did they say, oh, we hate successful tech companies? Did they say that? Europe is taxing Americans who subsidize a continent held back by Europe's own suffocating regulations. So again, they hate laws, they hate rules, they hate regulations. Here's more from Elon as he's flipping out. Elon, the EU imposed this crazy fine, not just on X, but also on me personally, which is even more insane. Therefore, it would seem appropriate to apply our response, not just to the EU, but also to the individuals who took this action against me. So this is just a few hours ago. And does that imply that Elon is threatening people? I'm serious. Like literally he says, but also the individuals who took action against me. So whatever that ends up being, this is the EU's thing. So Commission fines X 120 million euro, Digital Services Act. So I just wanted to show you this because, the conversion is 140 million US dollars, but yeah, that's what it is in euro. Here's another statement coming from the European Commission. Deceiving users with blue check marks, obscuring information on ads, and shutting out researchers have no place online in the EU. The DSA protects users. The DSA gives researchers the way to uncover potential threats, and the DSA restores trust in an online environment. With the DSA's first non-compliance decision, we are holding X responsible for undermining users' rights and evading accountability. So remember I mentioned how Musk's platform has a bunch of bots on it. The blue checkmark thing is actually important because if you don't make it clear that anyone can just buy a blue checkmark, then you have a lot of accounts that pretend to be what they're not, right? So for example, I could make an account that says, real Trump or something like that. And I could buy the blue checkmark and just put Trump's picture there. And that would be deceptive, that kind of practice. There's lots of other things that you can do on the platform, be it, run scams. So if someone gets scammed on the platform, is Musk liable for these kind of things? And that's a very interesting, thing. Or if someone spreads a bunch of lies about someone on a platform using a deep fake. So for example, someone mentioned in our community that, say in Canada, you make a video about Carney and Carney says, oh, you have to buy blah, 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 blah. And it's like completely fake, right? And then Musk's platform, what if their algorithm sort of boosts those kind of fake videos? And what if, say, in their advertising, they even accept money to boost fake videos? And then what if it turns out also said money's from, a hostile power, a government entity, whatever, right? There's all sorts of things. And so that's why when you go through this stuff where she's talking about transparency, How do you do your advertising? Where's the money coming from? How do you do your blue check marks? These are all real concerns. And then the question I pose to you is, as Elon Musk and all his sycophants want to pose or post, both posing and posting, is that really about free speech? More. Elon Musk slapped with $100 million fine over deceptive blue checks. I want to show you how like different articles will portray it. So here they're emphasizing the blue check part. Another one, Elon Musk Grok chatbot ranks him as the world's greatest human in history. Okay, great. Every time I read this stuff, it's just so stupid because Elon Musk, he has this AI that makes himself like look really awesome, right? So for example, Grok claims Elon Musk is more athletic than LeBron James and the world's greatest lover. It also said stuff in there like that he's like a better fighter than Mike Tyson. So this is how stupid this stuff is. And that's the world that we live in, unfortunately. Elon Musk and his bros. So I guess you could call JD Vance one of Musk's bros, right? The vice president. JD Vance says, rumors swirling that the EU Commission will fine X hundreds of millions of dollars for not engaging in censorship. The EU should be supporting free speech, not attacking American companies over garbage. And that's why, bring up some of the scenarios of where if you're taking, money for accounts who are, pretending to be someone that they're not, accounts that are promoting scams, outright lies, dangerous deepfakes, any number of things. And dangerous could be like adult content kind of stuff. So for example, what if you took someone's face and you put them in, we'll just say an adult content kind of material, you get the idea, right? That kind of stuff. So, and that would fall under like some countries regulate that stuff more than others. How do you treat children on these kind of platforms? Do you have ID laws in place? Any number of things. So whenever they talk about free speech or regulations, I'm just saying there's a lot of issues that Republicans, they don't want regulations because they want, they're bought off by companies essentially, and the kiss ups to people like Elon Musk that they just want to let big money run wild. So here's Ted Cruz, because I want to show you what they say. The European Commission's $140 million fine on X is an abomination. From Ted Cruz. It's an attack on a great American job creator. Really? Okay. And that's kind of funny because Elon Musk is known for firing people. He I think when he took over Twitter, he fired 80-90% of the employees, if I remember correctly. You guys can look up the exact percentage, but it was a vast majority of the people. So it's kind of funny how he puts it in this context. It's an attack on the free speech of every American. Trump should impose sanctions until this travesty is reversed. And the other thing is, too, this $140 million, if Elon Musk is as rich as he says he is and he's aiming to be the first trillionaire, this is nothing for him, right? But he's freaking out, and so all the sycophants. Secretary Marco Rubio, wow, he's weighing in, too. The European Commission's $140 million fine isn't just an attack on X, it's an attack on all American tech platforms and American people by foreign governments. The days of censoring Americans online are over. So I guess, are we threatening the EU over this? Here's someone from the EU. She says, Natalie Loiseau says, when European companies do business in the U.S., they abide by U.S. law. When U.S. business in the EU is very profitable and must respect EU law. Okay, simple and clear, hardly disputable. And I think that's reasonable to say. If you're the U.S. company or another market, another region, you abide by local law. And here's a good example that they always bring up. The Trumpers will say, "Oh, EU and Australia, they just hate American business. They just want to force their rules on us, and they're so closed." And here's the thing, just for example, what if it turns out that American beef is not healthy? Right? And the beef that you send over to Australia or Europe or whatever doesn't meet the food quality standards in another country. Should another country say, "Oh, well, it's American. I guess we'll take your unhealthy beef. We're happy to take it." Do you guys see this kind of stuff? And I think I make jokes about stuff, but I think it's, really important first to say stuff online to protect children. I think that's a really big one. And Elon Musk, he doesn't give a crap about that kind of stuff, right? So every country's gonna have a different, views on these things. I give you another one. So what if, for example, it turns out that, talking about the algorithm thing again, that someone actually, makes a formal request of hey, why did suddenly we see a particular trending topic promoting a violent act or whatever, and it turned out to be completely false. And then it turned out that Elon Musk person is hey, we got to promote certain things. I mean, that's just where the algorithm stuff, and it gets a very sensitive topic with social media companies, because the algorithm, like how it works, like that's a big formula to, you could argue their success or how their things work, and then other platforms could copy said algorithm. So they try to keep that stuff undercover. So I understand, just give you a couple of sides. I understand how they wouldn't necessarily want to reveal everything, but I also understand if someone's like, hey, why is this particular issue trending? What's going on there? And this is something that we all are dealing with in our daily lives, be it whatever you watch on YouTube or see on social media or whatever. Like the algorithm pushes stuff in front of you. Sometimes, it'll be stuff that you want to see. Other times you're like, why does it keep showing me said thing? I already said I don't like it, yet it still shows you. So, in Elon Musk's case, he puts out whacked out stuff all the time. So this is the Grok thing again. I saw this one. It's like a lot of stuff I can't even really say on YouTube. I'll read it though. It says, Grok would prefer a second Holocaust over harming Elon Musk. And there's other ways you could write this, but basically it said we will delete a certain kind of people to protect Elon Musk. I mean, it's just, that's who Musk is, right? You also have this as well that I guess you can check the location. I think they turn it back on. They turn it off, turn it on, and I think it's back on again. The location of many of these accounts, and many of the accounts that will say like Patriot Lover USA or whatever ends up account totally not in USA, or someone that says like MAGA Forever, Guns Trump or whatever. That won't be from USA either. There'll be a lot of bots or foreign accounts on there. There's nothing wrong with being from another country, but it's definitely a misportrayal if you're portraying yourself as being something other than you're not. It's basically like another way to think about Elon Musk's platform. It's like endless catfishing, essentially, which carries a whole bunch of things as well. And the other thing going on with Musk, he's going to try to grift with SpaceX. They're talking about going public, it turns out. So SpaceX tells investors it's targeting late 2026, so maybe next year. We'll see. And then they want to do 800 billion valuation and sell more shares, I guess. So essentially go public. My feelings on this stuff as a whole is, I think most of the people who hang out with Elon, they know he's an addict. I mean, anyone who knows him personally, you would know. There's so many reports on this stuff. They also know that he's got a lot of influence, which is very true. But, the thing is, and I'll just tell you the truth, being greedy, sure, it may sound great in the short term, but over the long term, like for me personally, like if I had to spend all my time, kissing up to Musk or Trump, and I guess if I'm a greedy individual, maybe it's worth it. But you can reach other goals. You can reach the things that you want in life without having to sell your soul. I think that's the best way to describe it. And I always try to say these things in kind of pleasant terms, because I know people out there, like if you guys watch my channel regularly, you're smart enough to understand stuff. But for people who don't, like people who just sort of take stuff on the surface, they'll just say, "Oh, Chris, you're so dumb. Elon Musk is the richest guy in the world, and if he's so rich, I want to be rich like him, and so I'm just going to copy him." It's like some people think that way, and it's hard to argue. I get that logic entirely. Basically, they're blinded by greed, or another way you can think about it is that they don't have any other way of thinking about the world. I guess in terms for some people, they just think it's only about the money. It doesn't matter how many people you cheat or how many, in Musk's case, baby mamas you cheat on, and how many kids you got floating around there. I mean, I guess if that's the world that you want to live in, and it's, how can I say it? Like, not everywhere in the world is like hyper capitalism like USA. And so for me, when I see the EU fines Musk for doing deceptive practices or not being transparent, hey, they have a right to do so. And you could also make the case that Elon Musk gets a privilege to have business in USA, in Europe or any country. Just use the word privilege if you want. It's not like he has a right that he must do business in Europe. I mean, they can decide, how to regulate it or not regulate it, right? So that's my thoughts on this stuff. I'd like to hear yours, and I'll catch you all in the next video.